Dads have a huge impact in their children's lives.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I don't know if many of them, especially those who are not very present with their children, if they even know the power that they possess and how it can be in a very positive way. Mm-hmm. Because when they're not present, it has such a strong negative impact on the child's life.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. This is a podcast where we talk about
marriage matters
because
marriage matters.
You got darn right it does.
Yes, it does.
If you're watching for the very first time, my name is Glenn Coleman, and I'm joined as always by my radiantly beautiful wife.
You're so kind. Hi, I'm Tanya Coleman.
Yes, this is who you are. You're absolutely beautiful, stunning. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
All right. So, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. I just want to give kudos to you and your crew, your posse. What do you call yourselves?
That's my crew, my girls.
You guys did an excellent job last week. I really enjoyed listening to your episode. So shout out to Brandy Gallion and Erica Brown.
Yes, my sisters, my sister friends.
That was really great. So
thank you.
So this month, we're going to be talking about dads and fatherhood. So all this month long, make sure you tune in because I'm going to be interviewing some dads that I think are just good dads and good men.
I'm excited to hear these interviews.
Sure. So stay tuned for that. So like I said, every Sunday night after this, every Sunday night in the month of June, we're going to be doing that. So I'm super excited about it. So today we're going to talk about, we did this for Mother's Day.
Right. Beginning of May.
And so we want to do the same thing for Father. And we just want to honor some fathers.
Yeah.
Just in our life, it's I always say this. I believe that God always gives us what we need when we need it. And, I always say, I know I had an awesome father, Glenneth Wayne Coleman Sr.
Yes, sir.
Who has gone on to be with the Lord.
Yeah.
But he was a great dad. And so he really laid the foundation for who I am today. And then I think that, and I see this in our kids as well. I know that there's some things that I've given to my girls, but there's some areas where I know that maybe because I'm lacking in those areas, or maybe because I don't know what it is, but God brings people into their lives that they need, for certain areas. And so I've seen that in my life. Now, and it's not to say that I'm not a great father or my father wasn't a great father. But it's just, dad. I think that, it goes back to the saying, and it's so true. It takes a village.
Right. Absolutely.
And so, absolutely, I want to give thanks for my father. I want to give him his gratitude and platitudes. Is that platitudes? Isn't that a word?
It is a word. I don't.
am I using it correctly?
I don't know.
Anyway, I want to thank him. For with this. And I don't know why I had the preacher hands here. I don't know what that was about. Maybe because I said platitude.
That legacy. That's the generations of preachers before you.
I used a big word, platitude. When you use complicated words, you have
preacher hands.
Yes. But anyway, I want to thank him. For I always say this. I never knew how.
It's hot. I'm turning the air down. If you guys are wondering what I'm doing,
go ahead.
Y'all not gonna burn me up in here.
You never know. I was about to say something else. I was got this, but let me behave.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry.
No, it was me. But you never understand a lot of times, and I tell my girls this: you're not gonna understand some of the things, some of the decisions that me and your mom make as regards you. You're not gonna understand this maybe into your late 20s, early 30s. I know it happened for me, and now when I look back, a lot of times I thought my dad was crazy. I thought he was being unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But as I look back, I understand now what he was doing and some of the decisions he made. And so, you know, at different times in our lives, well, I'll let you.
Finish your statement.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I'm listening to you,
okay,
babe.
So, you know, over my lifetime, you know, God has, as well as my father, he's brought people into my life who have really impacted my life and have really showed me maybe a different way of looking at things. And so, you know, that's what we're going to talk about today, is just kind of highlight some of those people. And as you're watching this, as you're listening to this, I would encourage you to do the same, because sometimes I think we don't even realize how much people have impacted us until we take the time to look back.
Sure.
You know, and this is just our a token of appreciation to these men in our lives who have, you know, been walked with us through some good seasons, bad seasons, who have empowered us, who have helped to change our minds and renew the way we think about family, about marriage, about money, about life in general. So,
yeah, absolutely. You know, when you were talking about your dad, I just remembered him embracing me, you know, and he referred to me as his daughter and not his daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
He actually walked me down the aisle because my father didn't come. And so it was, I don't know if he knew how much that meant to me, you know, and anytime we did spend time together, he always had something very positive to say, whether it be about my cooking or whatever. He would always find something to compliment me on and recognize something. And that always felt good, you know, because my relationship with my dad has been distant. I'll use that word. For all of my life, really. So that meant a lot to me. So yeah, Leonard Wayne Coleman Sr.
I thought you was going to cry about that.
I'm holding it all my, so I was like, okay, I don't know. When you started talking, I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this episode, because this dad stuff is still something. It's still a thing with me. Yeah. You know?
But again, thank God, you know, even though, you know, I think even for you that there's some men who really
absolutely
impacted. So, you know, for me, one of the first men other than my father who really had just a really positive or influential impact on me was Frank Broxton.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, he always referred to me as his son, you know, and I wasn't the only one. I mean, Frank was the father figure for a lot of young men in our community in Fenton, Louisiana. You know, even though some of us did have fathers and we had good fathers, he was that person who just took us all under his wings, you know, and I always want to give thanks to Andrea, Crystal, and Keisha, his daughters, because I know that a lot of times he could have been spending with them, which he did. And I know all three of those girls love their dad, and they always talk about how good of a dad he was. But that speaks even more to how he could father his kids and father a community.
Right.
You know, I can remember Sunday evenings. You know, in my generation, I believe that every kid who learned to drive was a result of Frank. Every Sunday, he would take, I know it had to be at least 10 to 15 of us in his truck. And we pile in there and we'd each have a turn driving.
Wow.
And he'd take us driving every Sunday evening after church.
That was a brave man.
You know, and he would take us, swimming, and he was a basketball coach to us. He was a mentor. He gave all of us most of us, I think, our first jobs. You know, he was the mayor of our community, of our town. So he would give us all jobs during the summer to give us, you know, some money. You know, there wasn't a lot, but it was, you know, a lot of us used it to buy our school clothes or, you know, buy things that we wanted. And, you know, the other thing that I really admired about him was, you know, his wife, she had multiple sclerosis. She had MS. And just to see the way he took care of her, it really gave me a picture of what sickness and in health meant. And I mean, as long as I can remember, I know Miss Mildred, I never remember her. I know that disease took its toll kind of later in her life, but I never remember her walking. So for the entire time I knew her, Frank was the one who took care of her. And, you know, I would always see him, you know, in the wheelchair, pushing her around and picking her up and putting her in the chair. And so that really impacted me. And like I said, he just really showed me, you know, what being a family man, other than my father, he really showed me what being a family man and how that you can live a life where you don't have to. He showed me that there's a way to balance your life. Sure. And you can be a giver and still at the same time have boundaries. Yeah. You know, so.
Yeah. He was such a bright light. That's what I remember about Mr. Frank from my first encounter of him at St. Joseph in Fenton. Just such a bright light. He really was.
And he, before, you know, we always joke about this on our wedding video.
Yes, that's why I laughed initially when you said that.
He said on the video, you know, they were going around talking to everybody. And he said, you know, Glenn Jr. is really my son. And I'm like, man, the way he said that,
I know, and he kind of paused, and it's like, huh?
Yeah, so it's like, so every time we would show that video to people, we had to explain, well, here's what he means by that, because it really sounded
he really meant like a son.
Yeah. So,
yeah. I, of course, the first person, you know, that I think of other than, you know, my dad is my uncle Charlie, who he and his wife, Aunt Dolly, pretty much raised me, you know, from really early on. When my mom went into the military, they took me in. And I lived with them on and off for most of my life, even until my early 20s. You know, he was, emotion.
I got some paper towel here. It's not tissue.
It's okay. I'm good.
Okay.
He was my dad. He was my father. He loved me unconditionally. He had his faults and wasn't perfect, of course, like anybody else, but I knew he loved me. I didn't question that. You know. He taught me how to change a tire. You know, he was the one that when I wrecked my car, I was afraid to go home and tell. You know, all of those things. He, whatever I needed, whenever I needed. This man, I remember I was really young. We were living in Atlanta. My mom and my stepdad, Greg, were still married, but they were struggling. And mom wanted to leave. And so she puts me on the phone. I don't know how old I was at the time. And if she watches this, she's going to be like, why are you telling these people that? But it's kind of funny. And it just kind of depicts the relationship that I had with my uncle. And she knew it, you know. And she put me on the phone as a little kid to call him. I don't know what. It was early. It was still dark in the morning to call him and tell him that I wanted to come home. So he drove from Gulfport, Mississippi to Atlanta, Georgia that day to pick us up. Like we were gone before it got dark again. Wow. You know, and so that was like anytime I needed him, he would show up. You know, he's gotten on planes, and I don't know if before, well, he was in the military, so yeah, he probably did fly before then. But whenever, if my mom needed him, if I needed him, he was the father figure for so many people in our family. And he never had any children of his own, you know, that we know of. You know, and him and Aunt Dolly took in myself. I was the youngest of 3 girls that they took in that they never had. Like they, you know, they didn't create us. And yeah, yeah, he was it for me. It was just like that bald head, he set the stars in the sky for me. Mm-hmm. That was my guy. So So I have to stop talking because I'm he was great. I mean, he was a ball of fun. He was.
I remember him just, one of the first memories I have of him is when I first met him. And I don't know if he was trying to intimidate me or he was just, but he showed me his gun collection.
Oh.
You remember? I was like, now why this dude?
And it was not a gun collection in a case. I don't know if he had it in the case.
Yeah, it was in the gun case.
But I grew up with them leaning up against the wall.
And he had some guns that I don't even know. I'm not going to say what they were because I don't know if he was supposed to have these guns. I mean, these were.
Don't tell my family secrets.
I'm not going to say anything. I mean. But I was like, okay. But he was a great person.
He was.
And I thank God for him. Yeah, awesome. So, and I guess the next person for me, would probably be, as I go through my timeline here, would probably be Pastor Norman. I met Pastor Norman at a really critical time in my life. I had been, grew up in church all my life and. But, I was in church, but I wasn't, I wasn't necessarily living the songs that we were, because, that's what church was for me it was about music. And that's where I get my love for music from my dad. And he always had us in choirs and, just all kind of things. And so that's where that comes from. But so when I met him, he really taught me how to be, and I'm going to use this term, be a man of God. He really taught me how to, that what we were singing about at the time, it was just about singing. It was, like I said, I really wasn't into the word like that. But he taught me that it's more than just about the music and that it has to be about relationship. And, he really helped me to tap into the call that was on my life. I was able to do things that I never thought, travel the world, doing missions. And again, seeing him with Dr. Debbie and seeing that relationship blossom really, again, taught me, what it meant to be a husband, what it meant, to even be a father. He too, took in several young men, who really didn't have a home or a stable home, and he provided that for them. Yeah. And so that's one thing, he really taught me and about, just really how to be a man of God, how to seek God, how to study the word, how to teach the word of God and how to be a disciple as well as disciple others.
That's good.
That became a really big part of my life, discipleship, discipling others. He really taught me how to do that. So he was a big part. And like I said, I think I really met him at a really pivotal. I just graduated high school, going to college. And so that could have went, several ways,
Yeah.
But so I thank God that he was there, to be that for me.
For you. Yeah, that's amazing. And Pastor Norman definitely played a father figure role in my life as well, watching, because I really didn't have any strong Christian male figures in my life, and so he absolutely fulfilled and played that role for me, as well, and getting guidance and, speaking into my life, things that he saw, in me. It's just like, I remember we were in a worship service one day and I was up worshiping and it was like, I don't know, it was during offering or after the offering, and he spoke, that girl's gonna be a preacher. And I was just like, who? But, that is a part of who I am. I mean, not necessarily actively doing that now, but it's in me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he recognized that, tapping into gifts of business and administration and things like that, that I would have never done before, and really developing my love for the Word of God, So definitely, he's definitely played that father figure, and I guess we would use that spiritual father role in my life. And I wanted to back up for me. Before that, you know, my uncle was that father figure throughout my life, but also Greg, my stepdad, my sister's father. When he and my mom were married, he loved me and took care of me and treated me as if I was his own, you know, and I have memories of fun times with him. A part of my love for music, it's funny because my dad is also, you know, loves music, and he, you know, was a singer and all these things. Greg was a lover of music and instruments. And so being exposed to jazz and, you know, all of these different things that came from him. I have memories of us, you know, playing together when I was probably 3, and I still remember the games that we played and all of these different things. So he definitely sowed a seed in my life for what I see you having with the girls now. You know, even though he and my mom divorced and we never did develop that into my teenage years, it was the seed of it that was planted in me. So I knew what to look for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And so I see that what you have, that special connection that you have with each of the girls, which is different, you know, I was like, oh, I kind of recognize that because of Greg.
Yeah.
You know, so definitely Greg and Pastor Norman, you know, in my adult life played that role. God provided that for me in that time. Yeah. And
so for me, I guess, and I'm just kind of going through and if I don't say somebody, I mean, you know.
Right. Please don't be offended.
Yeah. But the next person I would honestly say was Wendell Strauss. When I met Wendell, you know, I was at Christian Baptist and, you know, doing music. And I've always wanted to, you know, I mean, I dibbled and dabbled in like as far as music production goes and recording. You know, my dad had some equipment I would do. But I think Wendell was the one who really showed me how I could actually produce music and I could, you know, be a music producer and write songs and put songs together for other people. He really took that gift to another level. You know, he owned a studio and he would take me and I would be in there and just watch him work and allow me to work in there for no charge, you know, which, you know, it's not, you know, and in a lot of times in that industry, people are very, you know, they hold things to the chest. You know, they don't show you and they don't, you know, want to help, you know, but he wasn't like that. And, you know, he taught me how to, how to work a digital audio, digital audio workstation. He showed me, you know, how to, you know, mix and master and EQ stuff. And he was the foundation for a lot of that stuff. And, you know, I don't think if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have the knowledge that I have now in which, you know, I don't do a lot of that much now, but still there was one time in my life where that I was really, you know, heavy into, which maybe I need to get back into it. You know, I had somebody reach out to me the other day, but I just want to give a shout out and same thing with Wendell. And I didn't notice at the time, but God was showing me a glimpse because Wendell also has 2 girls. And I remember those girls, back then they were young. They were younger than what Bethany and Bailey are now. And, you know, it was just great and refreshing to just be able to hang out with an older gentleman who I could see all of the aspects of what I wanted, you know, and also Wendell, he got me my first real like job, you know, working for UPS, you know. And so I just want to, you know, thank him for that and thank him for the impact. And even today, you know, just seeing him where he is today in his life and the way he provides for his parents, it's aspirational. It gives me something to say that's how I want to, you know, be able to take care of my parents in their golden years. So, which I don't know, Lena Mae and Deborah Ann, the way they probably gonna have to take care of us the way they live.
That's some independent women there, boy.
So, but anyway, so Wendell definitely had a huge impact. Just business wise, career wise. in music, and in husband, family, all that stuff for me.
Yeah, he was definitely a great mentor to you. And it was, I mean, even for me sitting back and the times that I got to be in his presence with you and watching the encounter, the interaction between he and his family was really a blessing. You know, I don't like to, like, I guess, harp on it, so to speak. But when you haven't come from that in a steady stream, you know what I mean? When I see it, it's almost like looking at a unicorn. It's like, whoa, that's amazing. That's beautiful. That's why that this whole father conversation, I get so emotional, because I'm like, man, dads have a huge impact in their children's lives.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I don't know if many of them, especially those who are not very present with their children, if they even know the power that they possess, it and how it can be in a very positive way. Because when they're not present, it has such a strong negative impact on the child's life. Yeah. And that child is longing and looking for that father figure, looking for that validation, that fulfillment, that love, that guidance, right? And so if you don't experience it, but you know it's out there, there's this deep longing. And yes, God, absolutely. And I know that's how I have survived all of these years, is by learning. And I went through a season of learning to become a daughter of the Father. Yeah. You know, so, but it's still very, very special and very precious to me to see it very tangible in other people's lives. Absolutely. You know, so, and that's why I'm so grateful for you, and you being a very present father with our girls. Like, you don't just live in the house, you connect with them in ways that I won't be able to connect with them because I'm not their father, and that's not that's not my role. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've heard, I don't know, I think maybe it was Miles Monroe, but he had said something to the effect of that a lot of times the reason why a lot of people can't relate to Father God is because of the relationships that we have with our earthly fathers. And that relationship is designed to teach us, you know, how a father, how you should interact with a father, and how a father is meant to be there to speak into you, to be a provider for you, to be all those things. So
I think a lot of our significance comes from our Father.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think God set it up that way. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess just going through the timeline here, the next person I just really want to just highlight is Pastor Alan Abney, who was another, again, when I needed, you know, we were just starting a family. And again, you know, he has 3 girls. And, you know, we had our first daughter, and yes, we did. We had Bailey. She was really young when we first met them, because the reason
Bethany's your oldest child.
No. I knew we had Bethany. Okay. But Bailey was born when we met them.
Oh, when we met them.
Yeah, because
I don't remember.
The way I know that, because we were living in the townhouse.
Okay.
That's how I keep. A lot of times I keep it straight about where we were living. Okay. But
whatever works,
But he really, you know, we really developed a relationship. You know, at the time, again, I was really doing a lot of production work, and I was helping him develop his television broadcast. But I thought I was just going there to develop a television broadcast, but he really became a father figure and a mentor to me. And again, being that he had daughters, at that time in my life, I really saw him like, that's the picture. When I looked at the way he interacted, and he would let me in to those conversations that he would have with it when I would be there. You know, he would have those conversations, right, and I would be right there, and to see the way he interacted with those girls, and how much he loved those girls, and how much he, you know, I can just remember him doing things that I was like, wow, you know, that he was like their Superman, right? Yeah. And I was like, that's the image. That's how I want to be able to interact with my girls, you know? So, you know, again, I think God he brought him into my life just to show me that it's possible, for a man. I remember, just possible for a man to have a great relationship with his daughters and have a positive impact, on their lives. So,
what I loved and appreciated about Pastor Abney?
What's that?
Is he would text you or leave you voicemails that, and he was speaking so very strongly into your life. I mean, like he was aiming for the spirit speaking into you. And I appreciate that about him, because I believe that it impacted your life and helped you in that season. You needed those messages. And so as your wife, like, I love him for doing that for you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, big shout out to him. And, he really came along again. It was like at a pivotal moment, that I needed, just this to get to, and he used to say this, and, he used to say, he would say something like, in order to go from 29 to 30, you have to start back at 0. It's like 30 is like this new, and he said a lot of people aren't willing to leave the 29 to get to the 30 because they don't want to start over again. Right. But he was that catalyst, I believe, that helped me go to the next chapter and leave some things behind that maybe I was holding on to because I was so comfortable there. I was able to go to the next stage in my life and be comfortable with, quote unquote, starting over and building up to the next chapter of my life. So, yeah. Any other people you want to bring in before we?
No, I mean, I've seen good examples, of people fathering, but I don't know if I necessarily have any other people who were father figures in my life, yeah.
Well, the last person that I want to give props to is John Stelli.
Yeah.
When we met the Stellis, again, just we were in a very weird place, I would say.
That's a good word for it.
But they would just do things for us in our lives. And we never asked for it. We never, they just saw needs and they met them. And the other thing that John really did was he showed me how to, what's the word I'm looking for? How to be a blessing to your family, how to really woo, I don't know a better word, your wife. And
I can see that. Yeah.
To be that not provider, because it was more than provision, but how to pursue her and how to just shower her with gifts, and that's okay, because I grew up, that we and I always say this, I grew up in a save. My dad was always about save. You don't spend money is never made to be. I mean, we had fun, but you know what I'm saying? Right. He was more about saving for the future. But John taught me how to really enjoy. And he showed us another level of living.
Absolutely.
And I was just, always blown away. And I never forget, like, one of the things he had said, we were like in a couples something. I can't remember if it was a marriage refresh. Yeah. And I think Pastor Norman was asking about, what would you do if your wife went out and spent $300 on clothes or whatever. And, and all the men had these answers like, and I was thinking the same way, I'll have a conversation with my wife and, whatever. And let her know, that we gotta, and John was like, well, he said, what I would do is I would go meet her and go shop with her. He said, because if you can't afford for your wife to spend $300, maybe you're not the man that you thought you were. I was like, so So I was like, that.
But it's right.
I was like, the curling my toes in because he's sure stepping on mine. But that's the kind of person he was like, man, it's like, I do this for my family. And I have what I have because I want, I want to be able to give my family the best. I want my family to live in the best. I want my family to drive the best. I want my family to wear the best. I want to take them on the best vacations. I want to do everything that I can do to give them the best life possible. And, and I really appreciated that about him. And and just, again, even, his honesty and his candidness.
Always.
Just really, and the thing I loved about him, not only would he show you the good sides, he would also talk about, the not so good things. And, this is where I was. And by the grace of God, this is where I am today. And that really empowered me and he helped me to see that it's not about being perfect, because nobody's perfect. It was all about, living your best and trying to just continue that process of growing, continue that process of becoming, and every day, every year being a little bit better than you were the last. Right. So I really appreciate that.
I definitely see that. I think too, I'm very appreciative of the Stellis. They have been a tremendous blessing in our lives. And just, I guess I look at Sylvia as like a sister, they are people who, no matter how blessed they have become in their life, they are still very real.
Very. Yeah.
Still very, very real. Yeah. Approachable, I don't think is even the best word to use, but very real and candid. And I've never, and this is, I noticed it, I see it from more of a distance with John, because I have a different relationship with him than Sylvia. But as a couple, as a team, it doesn't matter what they have and what you don't have, they still treat you the same. Yeah. And it's huge. Yeah, for sure. It's huge. For sure. So he's definitely been a blessing and an example of fathering and being a great husband, as well as being about business and community. Yeah, and even, he talked a lot about, we're talking about his relationship with his kids and where those relationships were. Right, and how he struggled in that and how through the word of God, he became the father that he is today. And so just to hear him talk about that transition was very inspiring to me. And so I just, really appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. So we've been blessed to have some wonderful people come through our lives. We really have. Yeah. And
I think that's going to continue to happen. And so so we're going to just end it there. Just like I said, this week we just really wanted to honor men and honor fathers, honor men. And it's going to be a great month of June. So make sure you tune in every Sunday night and watch the replays as well. And just want to let you guys know that, if you are a man and you should have someone in your life that you are discipling, that you are, because it's so, you don't know what's going on in the lives of people. Absolutely. So you should have those people in your lives where you are, quote unquote, taking them under your wing or being a father for them. And we shouldn't get so preoccupied with ourselves that we forget to be a father. And even beyond our family, there are people out there who, like Tanya was saying, for her, maybe didn't have, that quote unquote traditional or perfect family unit that, God used other people to
sow those seeds
of what that should look like and build her up in those areas. So, you never know who that's going to be. So, I would just always say, look outside of yourself and it's all about, it does take a village. It takes a village. And even as a man in my 40s, I still look for those men in my life. And it's not more for validation, but it's about being around men who are going to push you, who are going to challenge you to be the best version of you. And that's why, I have other mentors. I call them mentors from a distance who I listen to, and I listen to their teaching. I I take their classes. I do all these things because I want to be the best version of myself. Because if I can be the best version of me, then Tanya gets the best version of me, and Bethany and Bailey gets the best version of me. So, and I get to live the best version of my life. So, just an encouragement to all the men out there, and encouraging you to watch this. And if you are a lady or a woman or a wife or a daughter or a son or whoever, and this month I would encourage you to share some of these podcasts with the men in your lives, because I think it's really going to help them, and it's really going to just enhance their life and cause them to just look at themselves and look at areas, because there's always areas. I know for me, I'm always looking for areas where I can be better in.
Absolutely.
And so I would encourage you to share these podcasts. So that's all we got for you today. This is Glenn and Tanya Coleman reminding you that your marriage matters. We'll see you next week.
Bye.